Cam Rising is the Dak Prescott contract of college football. JT Wistrcill, Locked On Utes, joining me here. It's because he is the story that will never go away, JT. Now, though, he has gone away from Utah, and he's not going to the NFL draft, or at least that's not what it looks like. Yeah, I don't know. But if you were a major college program in need of a quarterback, would you take a chance on Cam Rising?
Oh, would I take a chance on him? I guess I would consider taking a chance on him. Like, man, as a backup quarterback, like in theory, that could be intriguing, but I don't know what Cam wants to do. But Cam could not be Utah's option going forward. Also, you mentioned the Dak Prescott thing. I'm just happy there's not a $103 million dead cap hit with Cam Rising choosing to move on, which is what Dak's.
Though I imagine Utah's NIL collective perhaps feels it was a bit of a dead cap hit with the with just how the season played out. Now that's injury related, so that's different. But
Absolutely. I mean, I wonder when the point we'll get to, like when there is a guarantee in terms of NIL compensation, like we see that with NFL contracts. That feels
could be this fall.
Future. Yeah, could be this fall.
Could be this fall. We'll see. But anyway, back to Cam.
Yeah, on to Cam. This is such a weird situation. I remember Utah, they're gearing up for the UCF game. Kyle Whittingham's last press conference, they was asked about Cam's future. And he was like, I've talked to Cam. He's going to announce his decision in like 7 to 10 days. Here we are on January 16th. We haven't heard from Cam. But we did finally hear from Kyle Whittingham because Utah was forced to make a move. They had to put out their spring 2025 roster. Cam Rising was not listed on that roster. So the reporters naturally asked Kyle Whittingham about it. And he says, I have talked to Cam a few times and I'll let him divulge his plans, but he's no longer on our roster and we'll let him announce what his plans are and what he wants to do. So what exactly does he want to do? Does he want to he didn't enter his name in the portal. Like that never came about. So that's where, is he waiting until the spring one? Does he just not know still? He obviously, he still had another year of eligibility. Is he going to declare for the draft, even though he's not going to get drafted because his medical's so bad? But does he want to try to be signed as a UDFA? Does he just want to go into coaching? I have no idea what the future holds for Cam Rising. Spencer, I cannot ever remember a player's career starting, like when his playing career started, not all the weird transfer stuff even before, but when he got onto the field at Utah, 21 and 22. Special seasons, all-time great Utah football season, and he's a top 5 all-time Utah quarterback. But now how these 2 years have ended, it's insane. I can't remember anything ever like this.
Well, I think it's emblematic of something fans have to recognize, which is when you get a storybook ending or a nice, clean break between you and a beloved player, appreciate that, enjoy that, because sometimes it goes like this, and now the final taste in everybody's mouth. It's like Carmelo Anthony's basketball career. In his prime, in his heyday, it was great. He was really fun to watch, hitting big shots on Christmas Day and all that stuff. But the final impression anyone has of him was the old, washed up, coming off the bench, bouncing around. Like, that's just not...
Trailblazers Mello?
Yeah, Trailblazers Mello, who had his moments, but it was like, this is not how I want to remember this guy. And, I mean, that's a stark contrast to LeBron, who's 40 and is, I don't even know how to explain that guy. But... I just look at Cam Rising and say, okay, to your point, the injuries notwithstanding, he's not an NFL quarterback, at least not, a highly regarded prospect. You add on the injuries and undrafted free agents, probably the best he could do. Now, I think he could be, good enough to make a roster somewhere. But maybe let's say he comes back to college football, and we're still waiting to see what happens here. The quarterback carousel is kind of mostly filled up. I do think there are maybe some group of 5 schools that are still looking for a quarterback that would say, we'll take your services over here. I mean, do you think he is still capable of being the guy who led a Power 5 team to a conference championship?
I don't, because unfortunately, I don't believe in his ability to stay healthy. I think we just have a large enough sample size, and I hate it for Cam. He was a great college football player with some of the things he was able to accomplish. And I just don't think we'll ever see that guy again. And I look back to the Arizona State game. Like, he comes back from the injury after getting shoved into the injury luck is awful. Shoved into a Gatorade cart and cutting his hand. Like, that's insane. That's what happened in the Baylor game. Comes back in the Arizona State game. Third play of the game gets his ankle rolled up on and can't even put any pressure on it. And at the time, we're like, why did you leave him in the game? And then we saw Isaac Wilson play the rest of the season. It's like, okay, now I see why you left him in the game. But it's just, you can't bring in Cam Rising and say, this will be our guy. That's why when you talked about a major program, if this is just total speculation, but like if Miami was like, here's our backup quarterback, that's pretty nice to have a guy like Cam Rising who's led you to those heights to be your backup quarterback. But does Cam really want to be that? I don't think so. I really don't know what Cam wants to do. It would make a lot of sense to me if a Mountain West school did take a chance on him, but you better have a really good backup option. I wish Cam could stay healthy, but just this track record now and this just cycle we've been in of constant injuries, I don't see how he breaks out of it in 25 if he returns to college football.
He seems like a guy who could wind up on a football coaching staff somewhere very soon, yes. But maybe he pulls a Gardner Minshew and, he's going the coaching route, and then all of a sudden, boom, an offer comes about, and I think this is right for me, and revitalizes himself and gets back to what he once was. And I'm with you on the injury front. I just wouldn't be able to trust that he can stay, because it hasn't been the same injury even. I don't know if that's more concerning or less concerning, but it's a concern regardless that I don't see him for 2 years now. He has not been able to stay on the field, and that's a problem I don't know that anyone can overcome. But as for the transfer portal, JT, he'd be a graduate transfer, I presume, since he's been at Utah for so long. Graduate transfers.
7 years, he made it.
Yeah, I think he fits the bill for that classification of student athlete, but he'd be able to enter the portal at any time. And so if you're talking about the best quarterbacks that are still available, if a team suffers an injury in spring football, we might have this conversation again. I might just save this segment and then play it again on a show and save us the time of re-recording in the spring if a quarterback gets injured somewhere. But I'm with you that I don't think he would go somewhere to be a backup. I don't think he's necessarily above, though. If he doesn't have a super high NFL draft grade, why not go explore your options at insert group of 5 school that can push for a playoff spot? I know that UNLV's brought in their guy, but like schools like that where you go, hey, that could raise the profile a little bit.
And that's where I guess if I was someone close to Cam Rising, I would just ask him, is it worth it to keep going? Because I think then you're just continuing to put your body on the line, and more injuries you might have to deal with long term. And if that's something he wants to do, then I think you fully support him in that. But if I was someone close to Cam Rising, I'd have a serious conversation with him about that, because as you mentioned, Spencer, it's been different injuries: the hand, the ankle, the MCL, ACL that he suffered in the Rose Bowl. Like it's been constant. And I do think that is just crazy, the point we're at in college football. By the way, the point you brought up is absolutely true. We could have star quarterbacks get hurt, and not as much right now, but maybe even in the future, like we'll have some quarterbacks who are going to sit back and be like, I'm going to wait and see if something better opens up in spring. Some guys do that a little bit, but they'll usually commit somewhere. And then maybe if they go through spring ball and they don't like it, but like the fact that can start happening in college football where a major quarterback might get hurt and they might think, oh, we could call Cam Rising. Like that is a crazy sentence. And it's absolutely true. And to go back to what you said, I guess Cam is like Dak Prescott, because if that's the case, then you're right. I'm not done talking with about it. We are always going to be talking about Cam Rising, because that could be, as soon as a star quarterback gets hurt, that might be what happens. And it makes sense to consider him. It's just very risky because of that health and injury history. And he just hasn't been able to stay healthy, as much as I did. I hate to say it, but like, look at the history. It's what it is.
Cam Rising, graduate assistant, University of Utah. I don't know. I could see it.
He's spent a lot of time on the sideline. Like, I'm not even trying to shade the guy. I'm just like, he's genuinely
he's got to be comfortable
constantly. Yeah. As a reliable voice, knows what it takes to be a quarterback there. That situation seems weird too. Just the fact that like that Witt either knows and just won't say, or like, why hasn't Cam come out and said? I can't remember a star quarterback like taking this long. So maybe there's just something going on behind the scenes. It's a very strange situation in Salt Lake, and we'll see how much longer it lingers.